What's up everyone, it's Kadi with MoneyVest. In today's video, we are going to be talking about PayPal. I'm going to give you guys an update on this stock and how close it is from a potential breakout and actually seeing a overall reversal in the pattern for PayPal. I mean, we have been trading in a downtrending channel for as long as I can remember for PayPal, but I feel like the momentum and the overall perception and the shift is finally undertaking right now as we speak. I really don't want to jinx it, so knock on wood, but I want to go over the key areas of levels and resistance to watch, and beyond that target that's officially going to be a new higher high for PayPal, and we're going to be breaking outside of its downtrending channel, not to mention some of those moving averages as well, which is a pretty big deal for PayPal. So as always, if you enjoyed this video, find it helpful, make sure that you drop a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. And the link to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below if you're interested in joining us, and of course getting access to all the members only private videos, including all the trade alerts and the trade ideas and the members only private videos, as well as the trading view charts and the trading view alerts and all the options channels and all the Discord channels as well. So the link's going to be down below. There is a 16% annual discount available until the end of this month. And in this video, I will also be going over my bear case, base case, and bull case for PayPal and what the future looks like for this company all the way through 2030. So we're talking 7 years out for this company. Now this right here is the technical analysis, and first things first, I really want to highlight the moving averages. And what you'll notice is that for the longest time, ever since 2021, October 2021, PayPal has been trading below its moving averages. This is the 100 and the 200 simple moving average, and we have just consistently been getting rejected every single time you get up to that level, we get rejected. So you can see that this was back in November of 22. We did get a little bit of a fake breakout, then we reversed right back down in February of 23. This right here was July of 23. This right here was December of 23. And again, every single time we've gotten up to that level, we have seen a reversal. And even as recently as January of 24, I mean, we were trading exactly at this $68, $67 per share level, and then we rotated back down. But what is different from now until the previous times? If you haven't guessed it already, it is the absence of a lower low. Every time we have got rejected from those moving averages, we have sold off and created a new lower low, right? That's been pretty obvious here in the chart. So as you can see that this is the overall chart, and this is the downtrending channel of lower highs and lower lows, and how PayPal has continued to make lower highs here once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and this time around, instead of that lower high getting rejected and then us selling off to a new lower low all the way down to, let's say, 40s, we actually consolidated sideways in the 50s and then started to reverse right back up. Now, the reason why this is so important is because we are also coming up to that lower high, and that is a resistance sitting roughly at around $67, $68 per share. And PayPal quite literally had a high of $67.97. So if I basically go over the 30-minute time frame and I go over the exact place or the price point where PayPal needs to break out of, that level is going to be this high from back in January 24, sitting at $68.50. Again, if you break out above this level, that is going to be a new higher high for the company, which is most likely going to create a very nice momentum, which is going to create this perception that, okay, PayPal is no longer trading in this downtrend, which basically kickstarted back in October of 21, and we're now finally starting to see that reversal, some momentum back higher, and we're making some higher highs, which is a sign of strength for any stock price or for any technicals to play out. Now, insider activity has also increased in the last, I would say, 3 to 4 quarters. We've seen a significant amount of shares being bought on a net basis. We've seen more shares bought than net sales here in the last 3 to 4 quarters, as I said, since first quarter 23, and especially in the first quarter 24, as you can see, there's been so many shares being bought here compared to shares being sold. This right here is from a different video, so I want to skip over that. This right here is from Smart Money also buying PayPal for the first time in 3 years. So sentiment change, I bet most want to see it break above $300. And the larger shareholders, over 45% of the company, have an average of over $92. And these right here, again, some of the biggest institutional investors, biggest fund managers. We've got Citadel, we got Caxton, Gotham Asset Management, we got Point72, Square Point, we got Jane Street, Two Sigma Advisors. A lot of them have been increasing their positions in PayPal as they continue to see that momentum in the company. And again, shares owned, we're talking in the millions to hundreds of thousands of shares owned by these individuals, by these funds in PayPal. So again, there is momentum coming in. And as I mentioned before, you could be selling for all different types of reasons. If you are selling a stock, if you're selling a house, if you're selling an investment or an asset, you could be selling for a million different reasons. But when you are buying stock or buying a house or buying an investment, it's only for you to make money. It's only that you expect that you're going to make money because you see potential in that investment, right? So there's a huge difference in that. And I'm going to repeat that. That simply means that if you're selling something, you could be selling for multiple different reasons. But if you're buying something, it's most likely because you believe that that asset or that stock or that investment has potential and you are expecting to make money. And that's why the increase in ownership in these hedge funds or institutional investors and insiders is a huge signal that PayPal is finally a company or finally a stock that there is momentum coming in. Like there is people that believe in PayPal's long-term story in terms of the fundamentals being so strong. Now, this right here is going to be my spreadsheet. So what I've done over here is essentially taken into account the total payment volume of $1.5 trillion in 2023. We've got the revenue in 2023 as sitting roughly under $30 billion. Then we got net income sitting at just over $4.2 billion in 2023 and free cash flows sitting at just over $4.5 billion in 2023 and shares outstanding sitting at 1.1 billion. So what I have over here is basically margins. So revenue margins compared to its TPV, total payment volume, is just about 2%. And of that 2% revenue, we've got 14% net income margins and 15% free cash flow margins for the business. Now, bear case, I've essentially accounted for the PayPal's TPV essentially going down. So from 1.5 trillion to $1 trillion, that's a 50%, actually not a 50%, about a 30 to 40% decline in the actual TPV. That's a total payment volume, right? Total payment volume meaning transactions on the platform, engagement on the platform. And that is, again, kind of reflective of the fact or the idea that, okay, in the bear case, if PayPal loses engagement, if PayPal loses its active accounts, let's say that we get the total payment volume dropping down from 1.5 trillion to about $1 trillion. Base case, we're assuming for, let's say, 1.5 trillion grows to $2 trillion. And by the way, these are expectations all the way through 2030. So the next 7 years, what I'm assuming for PayPal in terms of those expectations. And bull case, we're expecting for 100% increase, so doubling from 1.5 to $3 trillion for the company. Market share, I've essentially accounted for. This should really be just transaction margin. If I want to rename this, so that's going to be transaction margins. Right now, we're at 1.95%. Base case, assuming that it's going to be expanding just a little bit to 2%, 2.25%, to as much as 2.5%. And this is going to be the revenue targets for bear case, base case, bull case. Bear case, assuming for the revenues to be flat to down significantly in 2030, down from $29.7 billion down to $19.5 billion. And then, of course, base case, assuming for a $45 billion revenue number by 2030, and then for bull case, $75 billion. Now, this right here is going to be December 2027. These are quite literally analyst expectations and what they are also assuming for PayPal long term. They're assuming that revenue is going to grow from $31.88 billion to over $40 billion for the business, right? $40 billion by December 2027. So me assuming on the base case of $45 billion revenue by 2030 is very, very reasonable. It's, I think, quite literally the base case, could even be the bear case, depending on how you're looking at it. But I think 45 billion by 2030 base case is quite reasonable. If you come over to net margins now, net margins 15%, 18%, 20%. So that's really what I am kind of accounting for. And again, we're going to be playing around with these numbers to better see how things could change here. And net income wise, again, that's simply the margin divided by, of course, margin and the revenue. So we're looking at just under $3 billion in bear case, $8.1 billion in base case, and over $15 billion in bull case. So essentially what I'm saying here is that if you take a look at the growth rate, so I'm going to go back a little bit so you can see everything. So if you see the growth rate, net income growth rate for years 1 through 5, negative 5.18% for bear case, meaning growth is going down. Essentially, net income is going down. Base case, 9.6%. I think that's quite reasonable because year-over-year growth for revenue is also in the 7 to 8% range, and profitability can be a little bit higher considering operating leverage is going to be there. So 9.67%, and bull case is going to be just under 20%, which is possible considering that Alex Croy, the new CEO, wants to drive that profitable growth in the business. So when we apply a very simple PE multiplier of 18, 20, 25, 2025, we're looking at a fair value of anywhere between $19 to as much as $137, with a price target of $47 to as much as $338 by 2030. So right now, of course, considering that PayPal is trading at just under $67 per share. In the base case, we're assuming for a $59 closer to $60 fair value would make PayPal undervalued at these prices, rightly so because of a very conservative 9.6% growth in earnings over the next 7 years, and of course applying a 20 times P multiple with a price target of 146. Now, bull case is only possible, of course, if the TPV grows for PayPal at over 3 trillion, which the market is there. The payment processing market is very, very large, and they're also able to, achieve almost 20% net margins. That's going to be a lot of expansion because it's going from 14% to 20%. That's kind of banking on the idea that they're going to be able to harness artificial intelligence and increase their margins and transaction margins and whatnot. And as a result, they're looking for that profitable growth of just under 20% from years 1 through 7 for PayPal, again, by 2030. And applying a P multiplier of 25 would give a fair value of 137 with a price target of well over $338. But that right there, in a nutshell, is some of those expectations. Now, let's just say that we go at 2% on the base case. We go at $40 billion in revenue with an 18% margin here for the net margins. And then, of course, years growth rate is going to be just under 8% for the company. We apply a fair value. We apply, let's say, a multiplier of 18. Now we're looking at a fair value of closer to $47 per share with a price target of 117. If you apply 20 times P multiplier, we're looking at $53 in fair value. And even if you go with, let's say, 2% here, 20 P multiplier, 20 multiplier here, 20% margins. Let's just go with 18%. Let's see what happens here. Let's go with 16% margins. And now we're looking at a fair value, which is $70 per share, which is still making PayPal somewhat undervalued given today's prices, given current prices on the day today. So I think one of those two scenarios is the most likely to play out over the course of the next 7 years for PayPal, in my opinion, considering that PayPal is a very, very strong component of the overall payment processing industry. It's a global leader, operational in over 190 different countries, and again, majority websites, e-commerce, everywhere PayPal is valid. So not only from a fundamental standpoint, as we have already discussed in our several videos that I've done on PayPal, that it has a ton of potential long term because the fundamentals are still solid, but even from a insider and institutional activity standpoint, there's more and more momentum and pricing kind of stepping in for PayPal. And if I basically go over the volume by price profile for PayPal since, let's say, 2017, if you drag this all the way around, we're looking at lots of the volume. Most of the volume has happened and taken place at $61, $62, and that is quite literally exactly in between this area of consolidation, as we've already discussed. So majority of the buyers seems like they did step in at these prices, considering the majority of the volume. You can see how thick and big that volume bar is, and that is going to be a lot of support, a lot of demand for PayPal. That just sounded super weird. But next resistance and target is going to be closer to $76, $77 per share for PayPal, if you are able to successfully get a huge breakout beyond this $68 per share level. So that is going to be that next target. Huge momentum driving the stock price higher here, and very, very close to a potential breakout from that $68 per share level. So keep a close eye at those prices. So hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, make sure that you drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would really appreciate that. And links to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below if you're interested in joining us, and of course getting access to all the members only private videos, including all the trade alerts and the trade ideas and the options alerts and the newsletters and the trading view charts and watch lists. So links can be down below. As always, happy investing, and I'll see you all in the next video.